What is up, guys? I do hope you are well. My name is Mark, and today we are checking out some r/mi the butthole. If you'd like to skip the initial waffle, timestamps are in the description and along the timeline below. But if you are new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too. Now, just a huge thank you for taking the time out of your day to be here. It really does mean the world to me. And if you'd like to support further, you can by clicking that join button down below for YouTube or hitting that link in the description for Patreon, just like these people did. We had Potato Dar and Kit Kat. Thank you so much for your support. It really means the world. So thank you for doing you and for everyone for being involved in the channel. I just noticed today, some of you guys have been with us for 8, 9, and 10 months. Thank you so much again. And let's get on with today's stories. Much love, guys. Now, our first story comes from Distinct Cow 96. Am I the arsehole for refusing to drive my ex-boyfriend to the ER? I, 24 female, broke up with my boyfriend, 28 male, of 4 years on New Year's Day due to infidelity. Ever since then, he's been constantly calling me, messaging me on every literal social media app, and coming around to my house even though I've told him numerous times he has to stop contacting me. Last Wednesday at 2 in the morning, he's called me repeatedly until I answered, and he told me he was in bad pain and felt sick and he thinks he needs to go to hospital. I told him to call an ambulance if it's that bad, but he said he can't afford the bill. Honestly, I didn't really believe there was anything wrong with him, so I wasn't really taking him seriously. I asked him what did he expect me to do, and he replied that he wants me to give him a lift to the hospital because he's in too much pain to drive himself. I blatantly refused, told him to call his brother and to take him, and then hung up. Anyways, turns out he was diagnosed with pancreatitis, and he's been making me feel guilty about it ever since, and he's expecting me to visit him in hospital to make it up to him. I'm feeling pretty bad about the whole situation. Am I the arsehole? Now, in my opinion, this is a pretty simple one, is that, he cheated on you, so you broke up. Now you have no obligations to him whatsoever. Why would he think that you do? And for him to keep calling you and almost harassing you like this, it also comes across as some form of manipulation in this instance. Anyway, that's to me anyway. So I don't know what you guys think, but we'll check out some comments first to see what they say. Drawing Wanderer says he sounds manipulative and psychologically abusive. Not the arsehole. And potentially Nox says not the arsehole, block his number. Followed by Hua Mama saying, not the arsehole, tell him next time to instead call/bother whoever he cheated on you with and then block his number. And No Bud says, not the arsehole, nearly a month after you broke up with him, he calls you and wants you to take him to the hospital. That might be something normal from amicable breakup, but this is no amicable breakup. He cheated on you. You've told him to leave you alone. Has he done that? No. He's been harassing and stalking you on social media. Block him and maybe file harassment with the police in case this gets worse or keeps going. You want a proper paper trail if you ever want to get a restraining order. And now I turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this situation? Let me know in the comments below. And our next story comes from AJ the Cow. Am I the arsehole for refusing to take down a negative Google reviews of my former doctor's office? So when I first found out I was pregnant, about 7 weeks along, I went to my family doctor and was sent for a routine blood work and urine testing. I was told to come back to the clinic a few days later and ended up seeing the doctor that was filling in for my regular one while he was on vacation. She told me I had a UTI and that I had to take antibiotics for it, because if we do not treat it right now, you will have a miscarriage. Not true, but I didn't know that at the time. She said she would phone in my prescription to the pharmacy I normally go to and I could pick it up. Next morning comes around and I go to get my meds. Pharmacist says there was nothing phoned in for me, so I call the doctor's office and ask why. I was told that the doctor who was filling in quit that morning, forgot to phone in the prescription and forgot to sign the paper copy. I asked what am I supposed to do now and was told, sorry, there's nothing we can do for you. Then was abruptly hung up on. So of course, first thing I do is apply for a different doctor at a different doctor's office and post a Google review about the shitty experience I had. I got a call from the doctor's office telling me to take down the reviews and that one bad experience doesn't give me the right to slander their business. Pretty sure I know the answer, but am I the arsehole? As you said in this story, you know the answer already, but I will give it to you. Obviously, you're not going to be the arsehole in this situation because it's not slander if it's the truth and you're totally allowed to give a Google review. And I got some questions because I'm assuming, again, I'm going to assume this is in the US. And if you have to pay for your doctor's appointments, and if this happened, and she just paid for something she isn't getting, so there is that angle as well. I know the meds are far more important in this situation, but I do question that. But Ridiculous says, not the arsehole. Also, I would update my original Google review to say how they called you to take down your review. JDSTR says, not the arsehole. It's not slander if it's the truth. And if Snake Could Speak says, not the arsehole, this is literally what reviews are for. That was really irresponsible of that doctor, and also them to not give you that prescription or at least another appointment there. And sorry if you can hear bells in the background, I got a cat scratching itself right by me. And Bisclaver says, not the arsehole, you paid for a doctor visit, for tests done, all paid, and we're not even able to get the medicine for your ailment. That's pretty much the definition of crappy practice. They should have taken the doctor's sign on the prescription. If not, the original doctor should have prescribed the medicine. They hung you out after you did all your work. Heck, they may be liable to medical malpractice. Pester them to get your medicines to your pharmacy. It's their problem to figure out the logistics. Keep your review to reflect your experience there. And our next story comes from a throwaway account. Am I the arsehole for not punishing our toddler's son after he got into my wife's Beanie Baby collection? This is so silly, but I'm getting absolutely berated by my wife over this. I was originally going to post it in relationship advice, hence the username, but thought it may be better to post here. I'm 32 female, wife is 28 female. My wife has a Beanie Baby collection. She started collecting when she was 19. It's not a massive collection like you sometimes see. She has maybe 100 of them in total. Our son has been forbidden from touching them, which I understand as it's a collection. I have a bunch of Star Wars figures that I wouldn't want our son to touch either. Well, the obvious happened. He got into the office as the baby gate was left open. Edit, this was my bad, and took off a large rabbit Beanie Baby off her office chair, took it back into his nursery and decided to do some colouring on it. I was in the bedroom at the time, so this all took place in about 15 minutes barely. When I went to go and get him, I saw what happened. I decided best thing would be to put it in the washer. But it came out worse than anticipated. The ink separated, and now there's these pools of ink all over the rabbit. Wife came home, was absolutely distraught, couldn't even look at our son. Started going off on me and why I left him alone. It was 15 minutes and asked me to punish him, take away his tablet, time out. I said it's unfair to do so, as he didn't do it with malicious intent, but she's not having any of it. Am I the arsehole for not punishing our son? Edit, just to add, he's nearly 4. Also pasted a comment here. He was not in any danger for those 15 minutes. He was originally with me in the bedroom, but expressed he wants to go play in his room. So I let him go. There's no stairs in our home, and there's a baby gate for most areas he shouldn't be getting into. And we're going to start straight away with Pudge the Fish saying, I think my biggest concern here is that your toddler's son has a tablet. If he is old enough to understand how to work a tablet, then he is old enough to understand that some things are mummies and he should not touch them, so he should have a consequence for his actions. You're the arsehole. And Trilobite says, ugh, if he's 4, then you're the arsehole for not giving him a timeout. That's like the mildish punishment and is perfect for something like this. Just literally sit down and let's think about what you did and why you shouldn't have done it. If he was younger, I'd say, no one's an arsehole here, let it go. But at 4, he's old enough to understand. I have a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old nibbling, and both of them would get a short with lots of talking and explanations timeout for this. I don't think he needs to have his own things taken away necessarily, but some kind of consequence for doing something he knew he wasn't supposed to is how you teach kids to, not do those things. It's not about retribution for the ruined bunny, at least it shouldn't be, but about helping him learn to respect others' belongings. But there is also needs to be a consequence for you. You were in charge of him at the time. You owe your wife a new bunny out of whatever fun money you get for your own hobbies. Bright side, you can teach your son a lesson about taking responsibility at the same time. An opaque writer says, you're the arsehole, correct me if I'm wrong, but 1, he has access to colouring tools unsupervised. 2, the walls are not drawn on, right? 3, he drew on mummy's soft thingy. He can understand it was wrong. There are age-appropriate punishments for toddlers. And finally, Who Throwaway says, would you punish him if you came back to one of your collectible toys in pieces? I think it's silly to care about either, but if you care about your collection items being ruined, you don't get to treat hers like no problem. You're the arsehole. Now, I turn this one to you guys. What would you do in this situation? Let me know in the comments below. And our next story comes from a throwaway account. Am I the arsehole for thinking my wife should take some of the blame for missing her appointment? For context, my wife, 34 female, has a heart rhythm disorder. It's been well controlled with medication and home care, but after a couple of scary ER visits, she decided it was time to see a cardiologist for an adjustment in her dosage and possibly a referral to an electrophysiologist. I-42 male had known about this appointment since October 2020. She booked the appointment in October but couldn't be seen until February because they were so backlogged. I initially decided to take the whole day off because it's a 2-hour drive from where we live. Then I had a couple of projects that I still hadn't completed, so I told her I would go into work the day of her appointment and be out of there in time to take her. The projects took longer than anticipated, and as I worked, customers kept coming in and it became hard to get away. We need to be on the road by 1 in the afternoon, and all of a sudden 1 came, then 1:30, then 2. She called and texted me several times, but I couldn't pick up or respond because, as I said, I was super busy. I finally got off work half an hour after closing and came home to a very angry wife. She said she couldn't believe I would just not contact her about what was going on and leave things up in the air like that. And she was really mad that she had missed an appointment with a specialist that took ages to get into. Admittedly, I got a bit defensive, and I told her that if she didn't have to rely on me to take her and could drive herself, none of this would be an issue. So it was not my fault alone that she missed her appointment. She didn't say much after that, but she looked hurt and has been quiet the rest of the evening. I feel like I could have been wrong here because the reason she doesn't drive is she can have an episode of this heart rhythm thing at any time, and she is afraid of that happening and causing an accident. So let me get this straight, that in this story, your wife was relying on you to take her to the hospital, and that was arranged, and it was like an appointment between yourselves, between partners. So she trusted you to do that, and then you sort of like made yourself almost unavailable to her because you stayed at work and you knew that appointment was coming. You was even watching the clock by the sounds of it, and you still didn't go to help her. So yes, you are going to be the arsehole in this situation purely because of that. And she's totally valid in her thinking about the whole driving license as well. If she could have a problem with her heart during driving and she did cause an accident. Yes, she's absolutely valid to think that way. But let's check out some of the comments to see what they say. And Duck with an Egg says, "You're the arsehole. You misled her into believing you were going to help her, then disappeared for the day and made yourself unreachable. If she had known in advance that you were going to be useless to her, she could have arranged alternative travel plans." And St. Elvis says, "You're the arsehole, are you fucking serious?" And quotes, "As I worked, customers kept coming in and it became hard to get away." And then says, "The second you realised you weren't going to make that 1 PM departure, the onus was on you to get in touch with your wife and inform her." No, actually, considering how ridiculous controlling you've been about this whole thing, I told her I'd go into work. The second that happened, it became your job to arrange alternate transportation. And quotes again saying, "I told her that if she didn't have to rely on me to take her." And it says, "No, she didn't have to. You just did everything in your power to make her rely on you." Sigh. Just one of these days, I'm waiting to see the relationship with a 10-year age difference where the much older male isn't an arsehole. And Flood and Fire says, "You're the arsehole. Surely you could have found 15 seconds to text her and tell her to make other arrangements. You did leave things up in the air and left her wondering if she could continue waiting for you or make other plans. And this is just a low blow." And quotes, "I told her that if she didn't have to rely on me to take her and could drive herself, none of this would be an issue. The reason she doesn't drive is she can have an episode of this heart rhythm thing at any time, and she's afraid of that happening and causing an accident." And then says, "Gee, wife, if you could just not have this heart condition that prevents you from driving, we wouldn't be in this mess." Rude and irrelevant. Now, I turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this situation? Let me know in the comments below. And my next story is from a throwaway account. Am I the arsehole for telling my brother his problems are not my problem? I, 30 female, have a brother, 33 male, and we grew up close. Our relationship hit a low point when he started dating my former school bully. It wasn't so much that I don't think people can grow and change, but when he told me, regardless of what happened or what she was like, he loved her and I had to deal with it, and that was it, and I gave it a shot. I loved my brother, wanted to not cause any drama in the family, but she hadn't grown all that much. And that when I got engaged to my husband, she made a big deal out of needing to be my maid of honor, and it drove me crazy. She never apologized, yet acted like she was entitled to the role and attempted to make our wedding about her. For example, telling me what flowers she wanted, calling my choices dumb, saying I needed a dress that would hide parts of my body, what food she wanted, what color dress she wanted, telling me I needed to let her plan XYZ, and saying I wasn't allowed to have my best friend in the wedding party. I put my foot down and said she wasn't going to be my maid of honor, and I told her she couldn't bully me to get what she wanted like she could when we were kids. She thought I was being really extreme, and my brother told me I was a bitch for not leaving the past in the past. They ended up not coming to my wedding. He didn't invite me to theirs, and we have been out of each other's lives ever since. I never met his kids, and he never met mine. It broke our parents' hearts, and it was hard at first. They struggled with their kids not having a relationship, and they struggled with their family being very divided, especially when grandkids came along, but they adjusted. When COVID hit, it hit my brother and his family hard, and the troubles just seemed to keep coming. He started a GoFundMe at some point, and when that failed, and he exhausted all help our parents could give, he reached out to me. At first he said he wanted to make amends, but then the very next day of making amends, he asked me for money and babysitting. I told him no. He said he and his wife were having a lot of financial problems, and that I owed it to him and his family. That family should help each other when they have problems, and he would do it for me. I told him that his problems were not my problems, and whatever help he would have gotten from me ended when his wife treated me like crap and then called me a bitch for standing up for myself. Some of the extended family are now saying I'm the arsehole and should help my brother no matter what issues we have between us, etc, etc. Part of me wonders if I should help. The other part of me is saying that he doesn't deserve anything from me. Am I the arsehole? Now, I couldn't actually see any apologies in there at all, so I don't think it's really sincere in his, making amends, I don't think. And it just seems like, it felt to me anyway, that he's only come back into your life now because he wants money from you and he wants these sort of benefits from your side of the family. And when he says, I would help you if you were in my position, and we know that's bullshit basically, he's just saying that to try and manipulate you into giving that money over. So absolutely not the arsehole in this situation, but let's check out some of the comments to see what they say. And we'll start off with Jellybean saying, not the arsehole, he only wants to use you. And Poedam says, not the arsehole, he's only apologising to get help from you. This isn't sincere or real. Now you could decide to give him some cash to help him out in the spirit of family, but understand that you will never be paid back, and that his wife will continue to treat you badly. If your financial situation is such that you can just give him money and continue to be no contact, then do it if you want to be the bigger person. But don't worry about it if you'd rather not. And Just a Reader says, not the arsehole, if his wife truly had changed, she wouldn't be a bully again and wouldn't try to make your life event hers. And it's always easy to claim that you are family when it's convenient to them, but not make an effort for others. If he wasn't a big part of your life until now, he certainly doesn't have to be after. Life goes on without them and their pressure. You don't need the stress. And Muse is not yours says, not the arsehole, apologies happen before amends are made. Followed by Check34 saying, you can't leave the past in the past when it continues to be your present and foreseeable future. Not the arsehole, if other family members feel so strongly that family helps each other, then they should offer their money and time. Not yours. Now I turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this story, and what would you do in that situation? Let me know in the comments below. And our next story comes from Bridesmaid Throwaway. Am I the arsehole for telling my sister-in-law that if I wanted her opinion, I'd have made her a bridesmaid? Me, 27 female, and fiance 29 male, have been together for 8 years. Until we got engaged, I was very close with his 4 sisters. Then when he proposed, I was frozen out. They'd been fine with me being his girlfriend, but I didn't deserve to be Mrs. Last Name. We've been planning to ask all of them to be bridesmaids. I told fiance I'd ask them for his sake, but he refused and said they deserve nothing more than an invitation as basic courtesy if they don't support our marriage. This is when their attitude got worse. Anytime they could, they'd make bitchy comments about me and the wedding. Like, make sure you find a plus size wedding dress shop. I'm a size 12. I won't stay the night, it's not worth my time. Aren't you worried what people would think if you have roses? I know that from what my fiance has been told, they are furious to not have been made bridesmaids and feel I chose to do that to exclude them from everything. That brings us to now. We had to cancel our big 2021 wedding due to obvious reasons. Instead, next year we're renting a 9-bedroom holiday home with a nice garden, having a small ceremony of 30 immediate family and close friends, and then just a low-key party in the garden afterwards. We assigned bedrooms to our parents and bridal party. When we told mother-in-law, she asked where the sisters' rooms were. We told her, all the other guests can stay at the inn, 4 minutes walk away. I checked, which is actually loads cheaper than the rooms we paid for the bridal party. Within 3 hours of speaking to mother-in-law, the eldest sister was on the phone to fiance, crying that I have once again excluded his sisters and they are sick of me. Apparently the situation had reduced mother-in-law to tears. Fiance was defending me to her, but at one point turned to ask me a question about the inn, if they had family rooms. They do, and when his sister heard my voice, she demanded to speak to me. Fiance refused and said he's her brother, so if she has an issue, to take it up with her. However, I'd reached the end of my tether and agreed to talk to her. She immediately began berating me and I just snapped and cut her off with, "Name, if I cared about your opinion on my wedding, don't you think I'd have asked you to be a bridesmaid?" and handed fiance the phone back. He hung up on her after that. His entire family is furious, and even my maid of honor and my parents have said I shouldn't have said that since it hadn't been my decision about the wedding party and I knew it was a sore point. They also said now if his sisters do show up on the wedding, it'll be really awkward for everyone and no one will have fun and I've ruined the whole day. Am I the arsehole for snapping at his sister was something I knew would anger her. ETA, please do not suggest eloping, but thank you for the comments either way. Now, I ain't got much to say about this one, obviously not the arsehole in the situation, but I do love the support the other half is giving wife in this situation, or fiance should I say. But Cynical Image says, not the arsehole, and check out the shiny spine on your other half. Nice to see a partner backing up and supporting their other half, instead of letting family create needless dramas. Too true. And the Utopian Cat says, not the arsehole after freezing you out. What did they expect would happen? And Own Replacement says, not the arsehole at all. If they don't support you or feel that you are beneath them, why even let them come at all? You should tell everyone in the family that it's you and your future husband's day and not about them. Don't listen to anyone's opinions. Your man did the right thing. They didn't deserve to be your bridesmaids. And Octopus on My Face says, not the arsehole 100%. They disrespected you since the moment you got engaged. They don't deserve to be up there with you on your big day. I'm really happy to hear that your partner had your back throughout all this. I can't believe that she thought she can insult you. I'm a 12 too and look damn good, and still think she deserves to be in the wedding party. You go and have an amazing wedding, and those who being negative are welcome not to go. The new venue sounds beautiful. And Little Snowy Sparrow says, what's wrong with roses? They're a pretty classic wedding flower, but not the arsehole. Maybe if they hadn't started acting like evil stepsisters the moment they found out you were marrying their brother, they would have been included. But why should you include them when they straight up said that you weren't good enough to be a member of their family? You should remind people of that. Now I turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this situation? Let me know in the comments below. Now once again guys, thank you for being here today. I hope you did enjoy today's stories, and if you did, you know what to do. Hit that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too. And if you'd like to support the channel further, you can by clicking that join button down below for YouTube, or heading on over to Patreon, link in the description, and joining up there. Thank you for your love, time, and support to the channel. It really does mean the world to me, and I will see you in the next one. Take care guys, much love.